Ellarigu Namaskara. I hope you all are doing good. Welcome back to the Little Things. And for anyone celebrating Navratri, Happy Navratri. In today's video, I would like to help you guys take the very first step towards booking your first accommodation here in Canada while you're still in your home country. If you have family or friends, then maybe you can stay with them for the initial few days, and once you reach here, then you can look out for other accommodation. But if you're not comfortable doing that for whatever reasons, or if you're someone like us who didn't know literally anyone here in Canada, then you will have to book your first accommodation while you're still in your home country. To do this, you have many different options like Airbnb, Kijiji, Facebook Marketplace, hotel bookings, etc. But out of all the available options, the one which we liked and went for is Airbnb. And one of the major reasons for this being the payment happens in a very secure way. Other than this, you also get additional benefits like you can read the review about the place and also the host from people who had previously stayed there. And also, if you're lucky enough, you might get really good discounts on your bookings. I wouldn't personally recommend Kijiji or Marketplace in this case because you really don't know the authenticity of the ad put up. You don't know whether the payment you're doing is going to the right person or not. Also, at this moment, I would like to share a personal experience related to this. As I have shared with you guys already that we are shifting from this place, and while searching for places in Kijiji, we came across an ad and we both liked the place. So when we visited the place to have a viewing, we realized that the place didn't look anything like the pictures. It was a completely different place. So keeping all these things in mind, I would any day recommend for you guys to opt for Airbnb. You know, when we wanted to book our first accommodation, we didn't have much of an idea about the different locations or which locations to target for, or how would that decision affect our traveling time or expenses in the initial few days when we land here. I think it's always a good idea to gather as much information as you can and know more details about the place where you're moving to so that you can make better choices and decisions. So before taking you guys through the actual Airbnb booking process, in today's video, I would like to share with you all more details about the various locations here in Canada, the Ontario province, Toronto city, and especially the GTA area. So guys, you're up for a quick geography class so that you get to know more about this place, which probably some of you would like to call home in a couple of years, and I'll try my best to make it interesting. So let's get started. First, let's look at Canada from the world's perspective. Now, I am from India, which is located towards the east side of the world, and I've immigrated to this beautiful country called Canada, which is located in the west. In the west, you have North America and South America, and towards the northern part of North America is Canada. Hashtag True North, eh? Now, if you're wondering what was that, it's a very common slang used by Canadians, which you will get to hear a lot after moving here to Canada. Let's also look at the surrounding oceans, alright? So if you look at the east side, you have Atlantic Ocean, and towards the west, you have Pacific Ocean. Because of this, the national motto of Canada is from sea to sea. Now, some people want it to be changed to from sea to sea to sea because if you observe towards the northern side, you have the Arctic Ocean. So it's all about inclusiveness. Being surrounded by three oceans in its three sides, Canada has the longest coastline in the world. Now let's look at Canada as a country. Now I'm sure most of you would have heard that Canada is the second largest country in the world. That's absolutely true. Canada indeed is the second largest country in the world by total area, covering a total of 9.98 million square kilometers. When I say total area, it includes both land as well as water. So if you consider just land, then Canada gets 4th place. Do you guys know which is the first largest country in the world by total area? If your geography is good, unlike me, then without googling, put in your answers in the comment section below. So going back to Canada, there are a few quick things to know. Most of northern Canada is covered by ice and permafrost, and sadly the future of which doesn't look too great because of global warming. And this also explains why, in spite of being the second largest country in the world, Canada has a low population. One of the best parts about Canada is 42% of its total land is covered by forest, which accounts to 8% of the world's total forest area. A big thumbs up for that. Also, if you consider the lakes, there are 20 lakhs of them, which accounts to most of world's fresh water. So all in all, if you are someone who loves nature, loves to explore it and wants to live amidst nature, then Canada can definitely make to your list of places to live. Now if I'll have to compare Canada with India, then just like the way we have states and union territories in India, Canada has 10 provinces and 3 territories. Now speaking of provinces, these are more like autonomous colleges wherein they have their own set of rules and regulations when it comes to healthcare, education, etc. Whereas when you speak about territories, it's more like a college which is directly under the university. In this case, it's the federal government. I've officially reached the most dreaded part of this video wherein I'll have to pronounce the capital city of Canada. Why I'm scared? Because just a couple of days back there was a small controversy here where one of the famous news anchor mispronounced the capital of Canada, and apparently I was using the same pronunciation all this while. I think the correct pronunciation after a lot of googling and understanding, I think it's Ottawa. They like to call it with a D sound. So yeah, the capital city of Canada is Ottawa, which is located in Ontario province. So Canada is officially a bilingual country with English and French as its official languages. So if you do know English very well, then you're good to go in most of the parts of Canada. Most of the French speaking population is located in Quebec. Now let's talk about the 3 most famous provinces opted by most of the new immigrants, and these are Ontario, British Columbia and Quebec, the capitals of which are Toronto, Victoria and Quebec City respectively. I don't know about you guys, but until some time now, I used to think that Vancouver is the capital of British Columbia and Montreal is the capital of Quebec, but they are not. I told you guys, I'm bad at my geography. These two are just 2 very famous cities in these 2 provinces. Now the reason why most of the new immigrants opt for these locations is because first, of course, better employment opportunities. Next, when you specifically speak about Vancouver, it's known to have a really good weather when compared to rest of the Canada. And also the third reason being the chances of finding your own community gets higher in these locations when compared with other places. Now let's talk about Ontario and specifically the GTA, the Greater Toronto Area, because that's where I live and have much knowledge about. Time for a couple of fun facts. The first time ever Canada made its official entry into my life is around 5 to 6 years ago, and it was through a very famous YouTuber named Lily Singh, also known as Superwoman. So she is from Scarborough, Canada, and apparently I am located in Scarborough as well right now. Talk about the power of positive manifestations, which again is something that I learned from her. So thank you, Lily. And it is also through her that I learned the pronunciation of Toronto. Now if you are someone who's confused whether to pronounce it as Toronto or Toronto, then don't worry, I was also sailing in the same boat as you a couple of years ago. So the thing is, the localites here like to call it as Toronto, making the T silent, and rest of the world calls it as Toronto. So whether you call it as Toronto or Toronto, it's okay, don't sweat about it. I gave you all this gyan about geography of Canada to arrive at this point to talk about GTA and also talk about which are the good locations that you need to target for when you're making your first booking. Now we all have Google Maps, but in spite of that, at times it kind of gets tricky to understand a place, the distance between 2 different places, or the time taken, the cost, all these things, right? So when I was in India and I was watching all these different YouTube videos to get a better understanding of the various locations, the only places that I could get to hear were Toronto, Brampton, Mississauga, Scarborough, Etobicoke and Markham. Now, of course, these places form a big part of GTA, but there's more to GTA. So let's try to understand it in a better way. Speaking of the GTA, it is the most populous metropolitan area in the entire Canada, and it includes the city of Toronto and the surrounding regional municipalities of Durham, Halton, Peel and York. So if you look closely, you will find many cities which you would have constantly heard of and many very new to you. Since I follow a lot of YouTubers, I can give you a good amount of examples of places where initially people land and where do they move on later. Now, in most of the cases, people initially land in the Toronto Pearson International Airport and they have their first accommodation booked in downtown Toronto. If you look at the map, the place which we are talking here is the inner city, which includes Toronto, York and East York region, and later on they find their permanent 1-year lease or temporary month-to-month rentals in surrounding cities in the inner and outer suburbs, because living in core downtown is going to be super expensive. It can easily cost you around $2,000 to have your own private space and somewhere between $1,300 to $1,500 or more for a shared space in downtown Toronto. Whereas once you move to the neighboring cities, the cost comes down, and for a private space, you can get it for $1,000 to $1,400 depending upon the type of rental as well as location. Now, if you are an individual who don't mind sharing spaces, then you can go for shared spaces, which can at times cost you somewhere around $500. Yes, you heard me right, and mostly this option is utilized by students. Let me give you some real life examples. I know of 3 YouTubers whose first accommodation was in downtown. One of them moved from Brampton and then to Mississauga and then to Milton. The other couple to Brampton and then to Etobicoke. The third couple moved to Scarborough and are staying there. I know of a couple who landed in Markham because they had already got jobs which was in Markham, so it kind of makes sense to make that kind of decision. I also know of a couple who landed in Toronto and decided to pick their home in downtown itself because of their lifestyle choices. Ideally speaking, I would suggest you to book your first accommodation in the inner city or extend it to the inner suburbs to the max. We ourselves had booked our Airbnb in East York because although a bit costly, it's really easy to commute within this area as you have well connected routes through TTC in the form of buses, subways and streetcars. Even if you want to book a cab to go around, it will be cheaper when compared to faraway places. Now, I know most of the YouTubers would suggest you to move to Brampton because you'll find your Desi community and stuff like that, but I personally don't believe that it has to be the case for each one of us. The reason behind this is, if you're booking a place in Brampton, then first of all, it is really far from downtown Toronto, and also when it comes to commute, you'll most probably have to take GO train, which is more costlier than TTC. Not only that, when you're closer to downtown, it will be easier to find most of the things that you want, like all the banks in one place, Service Ontario, employment centers, grocery shops, etc. Now, some of you might question me whether it's a good idea to have your accommodation in downtown right now because of the COVID situation wherein you'll have to quarantine for 14 days. I understand that, and that's the reason why I suggested you to even consider the inner suburbs, because in these places you tend to get places at a much reasonable rate. I'm really hoping that through this video you've understood Toronto and its surrounding locations, which together form the GTA area, in a better way, and also the importance of choosing specific locations as your first accommodation when you're booking through an Airbnb. In my next video, I will take you to the official Airbnb website and show you what are the things to consider while booking a place, like what should be your ideal budget, what amenities to look for how many days you will have to book the place, how to save some money through referrals, basically all those tips and tricks which helped us finding our first accommodation here in Canada. I guess that's it for the day, guys, and I hope to see you all soon in my next video. If you've liked this video, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. I wish for all of us to be blessed with abundant love, peace and happiness. Take care, and do remember, life's all about the little things.